Hello, my name is Minus, and I am the creator of a content group known as Pantheon Plus. While we focus most of our video content on the upcoming MMORPG Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, we are also avid MMORPG and ARPG fans who are always sort of on the lookout for our next adventure. Today, I'm ecstatic to cover a game in which I have a deeply rooted gaming history in, and that is Magic Legends. As a huge fan of Magic the Gathering, the collectible card game, I've always enjoyed the lore, strategy, and collectability of the Magic universe. So with that said, let's get into why I am so excited about Magic Legends. So what is Magic Legends? Well, it's an upcoming free-to-play action RPG bursting at the seams with familiar lore, worlds, characters, creatures, spells, and more that fans of Magic the Gathering will know and love. The game will play through instanced quests and missions accessed through a central hub town, but will also feature an overworld area where you can just explore and fight and even run into other players, which will take place in the game's planes, which again will be familiar environments to fans of the card game. Now currently, they've announced 3 planes with 5 distinct regions. The first plane is Dominaria, which has 3 regions announced: Shiv, Benalia, and Tolaria. Zendikar is another plane which is currently featuring the region of the Jungle of Tezeen. And finally, Innistrad, which will feature the region of Gavany. With a lot more to come in the future and even more details as the game gets closer to launch, we'll know even more areas and planes which will be featured. It's important to note that Magic Legends will be able to be played with a controller or a mouse and a keyboard, which allows for point-and-click movement, which most ARPG fans are already accustomed to, but the game also features a WASD movement style. It's also worth noting that the camera, while isometric, will not be fixed, but will be completely rotatable to have a truly 3D view of the environment. The game will also be available for console and PC. However, at the moment, crossplay is not planned. In this video, I'll be taking a surface level look at the details around combat, as well as how players can customize their style of play. So the first topic I want to dig into is monetization. Now I know as soon as people hear free to play, they start to wonder what types of monetization will be in the game, so let's just get that out of the way. To begin with, Magic the Gathering has always been about buying booster packs, collecting cards, and investing to build yourself up higher. I wouldn't expect anything different here in Magic Legends. That said, the team will feature an in-game earnable currency available only through play, which will be able to be traded for cash store currency at a conversion rate that is completely community-driven. So much like anyone who's ever played Magic in the past, booster packs will be a way to collect spells, or shards of spells, artifacts, or even player classes. What's important to note is that items obtained by purchased booster packs will provide a different set of options for play, but will not give a power advantage. Magic Legends will feature 3 distinct ways to earn within the game. First, from completely free to play, or a paid tract, or finally, a Battle Pass season program. You can also expect events which will feature free content and unique awards quite regularly. While this may turn off some players knowing that there is a paid track, this is something that every Magic fan is intimately familiar with and always has been sort of a staple of the universe. It sounds like the team behind the game is looking for a way to sort of attempt appeasing all fans of the Magic universe by providing these multiple ways to play. I'm sure we'll see more details on this as the game gets closer to launch, but let's get into the core elements of the game and what really is the exciting parts of Magic Legends. So let's start by getting into the deck building strategy. Much like the card game, a spell deck is a planeswalker's arsenal, and one of the many pieces of building a character out to fit your playstyle. Your ability decks will consist of 12 total cards, which will cycle after use with 4 in total available at any given time. It should come to no surprise that all the basic colors of Magic are represented. White magic is centered around light and restorative powers, which can heal allies. Blue spells cloud the minds of enemies and add elements of control. Black magic will tap into necromancy and animate the dead and drain life. Red spells will harness destructive elemental forces for direct damage. And finally, green spells will summon and nourish massive creatures. While all those descriptions are the base of what the colors bring, there will be much more to each color than just those basic taglines. The deck defines your army, your defenses, and your firepower. You start with a pre-constructed deck tied to each planewalker that you would select. As you play, you will earn spells to customize your deck, where you can also run a 1 or 2 color deck. While you start being able to only do a single color deck, you will unlock that capability to add a second color fairly easily in your adventure. The cool part is, any of the planeswalkers can use any of the decks, regardless of the base planeswalker's color. Now, there may be some synergy based on the colors you used based on the elements of the planewalker, but it will not limit you to changing up your strategy. Another interesting decision is to slightly limit creature spells. You will only be able to have so many creature points in any given deck. This means the more powerful the creature, the more creature points it'll cost to add it to your deck. So you will need to decide if you're going to go with big creatures, or if you want to use smaller creatures to round out your deck. Currently, that limit is 12 creature points, with creatures having a different level of contribution to that total. Aside from creatures, you'll also be able to use enchantments, which have more of a lasting effect, or sorcery abilities, which are single-use powers. Spell pages will be collected, and they will allow you to upgrade spells all the way from level 1 to level 10. The spells will have 4 rarity types that Magic the Gathering fans should already be well aware of: common, uncommon, rare, and mythic rare. They've also already shown that comboing and cards playing together to build strength will be heavily present, just like playing the card game. In this quick demo, they show a deck built around goblins, where you can gain goblins from casting sorceries. Then you pair it with a goblin warlord to keep them stronger and hasted. Then round your deck out with low-cost sorceries in order to keep pumping goblins out. Any fan will be aware of a red goblin deck, and it seems like it's already found its way into Magic Legends. I'm excited to see what other important combos or familiar setups will come, and also just to find my own and invent some new styles of play. Players in Magic Legends will be able to also slot a set of artifacts, which will exist outside the basic deck usage, but however provide permanent effects to the player. The player will be able to equip 3 lesser artifacts, 2 greater artifacts, and 1 legendary artifact. As a huge fan of artifacts in Magic World, I was happy to see them find a home in Magic Legends, and these artifacts will do things as simple as add utility to recharge, to gaining life through sacrificing creatures, or even something as massive as the artifact called the Boots of Vinewood, which when casting creature spells deals damage to foes for each creature you control, but also roots them in place. So much like the cards and what we will talk about soon in equipment, players can also upgrade their artifacts to increase potency. In an interesting decision when first creating Magic Legends, the team behind the game felt like collecting cards, upgrading them, and building decks in combination with artifacts would add enough loot for players to collect to keep them happy. However, what's an ARPG without equipment to collect? Because of the internal feedback during testing, the team set out to make this right, and recently announced a new equipment system, complete with a way to collect appearances and make your Planeswalker your own. Now, players will have 6 equipment slots to gear their Planeswalker, which you can tie into how you build your deck. One of the key things the team wanted to avoid was an overbearing loot and inventory system, which can at times plague ARPGs. And while I love myself some endless loot, they aren't wrong in saying that inventory management can at times be, well, tedious. These equipment slots consist of head, body, legs, and feet, with also being able to equip 2 accessories. Equipment will come in 4 rarities, much like the spells, also aligning to the core elements of the card game. Equipment is also rather interesting because you can add potency to different colors of attacks, you can build resistance sets against certain colors of magic, or even abilities like stealing the souls of fallen enemies. These kind of stat boosters are called adaptive mods. Aside from these types of abilities, equipment will also have core mods, which will have extremely specific effects. For example, one piece of equipment they showed stated that when you killed a foe with your primary attack, you had a % chance to create a 1/1 white and black human cleric. Typically, these mods would at times specifically interface with certain spells or colors to really help build out a deck, and even further than the just 12 cards. Where equipment becomes interesting is that all of them will have a singular core mod that makes it specific, however also they will have 1 or more adaptive mods, which can be swapped out as you collect more pieces of the same gear. This brings up an interesting playstyle, which means duplicates of gear do not get sold to vendors, because you will either earn a new adaptive mod which you can swap around, or the gear will break into materials that you can use to upgrade the piece of gear through upgrading the mods on it. Now, if you're familiar with anything I've ever done and you know me at least a little bit, the next piece of equipment system is a big one. Magic will feature an in-depth cosmetic system in which all the gear you collect can be changed around to your own unique playstyle through the use of a Tailor NPC character. Not only can you change your gear around with a tailor, but you can even change your body style, skin color, face, hairstyle, and more to really customize your Planeswalker. I absolutely love this, as this means that Magic Legends will have an excessively big collection system to keep someone like me highly engaged in collecting every piece that I can. So wrapping all this up, Magic Legends looks to take everything we know and love about the Magic Gathering universe and all the strategy we've come to custom to, while packing it into an action RPG genre that I love so much. With equipment loot, card collecting, artifacts, and deep appearance customization, I haven't been this excited for a game launch in a long time. Today we talked about the basics around combat and play customization, but there's even more to talk about, including the unique Planeswalker abilities themselves, and development of your own personal realms to craft and build a hub for player progression. If this video has piqued your interest, then make sure to head over to playmagiclegends.com for more information and up-to-date news and reveals. Now you can expect a lot of streaming and content from the Pantheon Plus team, as I'm not the only one who's intrigued by Magic Legends, so make sure to hit that subscribe button here on YouTube and look us up on Twitch at Pantheon Plus for future live streams of Magic Legends, and of course, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. If you're excited, hit that like button and leave a comment below, and I'd love to connect with everybody as we get into open beta on March 23rd. Take care, everybody.